which is a program to encourage people to take action and to meet people where they are, because people are interested in different things. So we have 10 key areas across various topics, including food, energy, travel, nature, and so on, resilience. And we invite people to take a pledge on on a pledge platform on our website that we're currently redeveloping at the moment. And they take a pledge to take whatever action that might be. So it could be to eat plant-rich food, it could be to walk it, bike it, it could be to be flood ready, and so on. And then we invite them to share that pledge with other people, because we're very much trying to spread the word across the community that we want thousands of people, hundreds of organisations to be taking action in a way that is eminently doable, but also measurable, so we can sort of track it and we can demonstrate that to decision makers like councillors and our MP. And that the Pledge for the Planet programme enables us to build a broad coalition across the town. Our Nature Squared campaign, we're relaunching tomorrow, actually, so watch this space. Hopefully there'll be lots going out on our socials tomorrow. And that's a campaign to encourage people to plant 1 square metre or more of wildflowers or plants to create a green corridor across the town, 5,000 square metres by 2030. And off the back of that, we educate around the nature emergency, the fact that the UK is one of the most nature depleted countries in the world. But the whole vibe of the campaign is very positive. It's can do, people out planting within the community, across the whole community. The third is our outreach programme. We run a number of events culminating in Great Big Green Week, which we do every year in June, as many communities do across the country. So we hold a number of events across the year. We had an event at Henley Business School, for example, last week with 30 businesses, all developing business resilience plans. And the fourth project is our schools project, which Georgia is going to be talking through today. So I'll leave it there and hand over to Georgia.
Perfect. Thank you, Kate. So to start off with, I'm just going to introduce the Green Futures Awards. What are they? So the Green Futures Awards programme is a pioneering, locally designed schools programme, and the core aim of it is to support schools across Henley and the surrounding areas to take climate and nature action. So it's really helping schools take these practical steps to building sustainability and becoming climate ready. And it's really designed around that common goal that I think we all share, that we want a bright future for our schools and young people. So the Green Futures Awards works in a tiered way. It recognises and celebrates schools' climate and nature action through 3 levels, which are bronze, silver and gold. And the idea is that schools will come on board and progress through these levels. So I'm going to take you through what each of these levels correlate to. So bronze is all about connection and communication. It's really focused on building strong communication and engagement between us and the schools and the schools and the community. It's designating a point of contact that we can send information through and the questions can be asked through towards us. And it's really celebrating each school's sustainability progresses and sharing school successes with the wider community through social media, through newsletters. And our role is to help amplify that, which we're really, really keen to do. And then we've got silver, which is all about taking action and starting to, become prepared and build climate resilience. So it's all about pupils becoming actively involved in climate and nature initiatives that are going on throughout the town and regionally. It's about embedding sustainability into teaching and, making it a part of the curriculum. And it's at this level that schools begin measuring and reducing their environmental impact. So in silver, we ask schools to estimate their carbon footprint and start planning for climate resilience. So in silver, we're looking at schools identifying and conducting risk assessments for active risks, so namely flash flooding and intense heating. And we ask that they begin taking actions to mitigate against these risks. And then the final level is gold. And this is really about leading the way and supporting schools to implement, a comprehensive climate action plan as they're mandated to do now per the Department for Education and us supporting them to do that. And it's about making climate and nature action an ethos within the school that the school community and the wider community is living by. And this point ensures that those schools continue planning for operational continuity in the face of these climate related risks. So, this is building on the risks in silver. It's looking at risks such as wildfires, indirect risks such as power outages, groundwater flooding, and river flooding. So that's taking you through the levels. If we move on to the next slide, this is about what is important and the benefits of the Green Futures Awards. So we believe it has two key features that make it unique, and do let us know if you have heard otherwise as I take you through what these unique features are. But the first one is that we believe it is the UK's first independently run hyper-local awards programme supporting schools to take climate and nature action. Now, being hyper-local is an aspect of the programme that schools really connect with. It's creating that local network of schools. It's allowing us to signpost them local initiatives that they can get involved with. And at Greener Henley, we run two annual events solely for schools. So we run our environmental science challenge, which we're running at the minute, and we run our science fair. And we can really get schools involved in them. The second key feature is that we believe it is the UK's first schools awards programme to uniquely embed climate resilience at its heart. And as I've touched on, this is really helping schools prepare for these escalating climate impacts that we're seeing: flash flooding, intense heat, and wildfires. It's essential work. Schools are at the heart of our community, and this work is keeping these schools open and it's keeping them safe and pleasant places for children to continue learning. So I'm now going to pass over to Chris Hurst, who's on our schools committee, and he's a former head teacher, and he's going to take you through these benefits on the screen.
Georgia. My name's Chris Hurst. I'm a climate ambassador under the STEM programme. Greener Henley Green Futures Awards gives schools a framework that enables them to write and implement a workable climate action plan. This is because it supercharges climate and nature action at a local level and beyond. It's hyper-local, and so we can weave local campaigns and initiatives throughout our school community. For example, Nature Squared, WOW Walk to School Challenge, and our climate-themed science fair. We also signpost schools to national initiatives. Schools working towards the gold standard within Greener Henley Green Futures Awards will be working within the nationally recognised structure for climate action plan that includes four main areas: decarbonisation and energy efficiency, working towards becoming carbon zero; adaptation and resilience, helping schools to identify risks caused by climate change, including wildfires, flooding, and shortages of key resources; biodiversity and green infrastructure, increasing biodiversity to support local wildlife. We encourage schools to use National Education Park as a way of recording their journey towards increasing the biodiversity on their site. Climate education and green skills, including green careers, enable us to celebrate schools' achievements as well as identifying and sharing the ever-growing employment opportunities to pupils considering working in green careers. The schools that I'm currently working with generally have plans in place for decarbonisation and increasing biodiversity, but very few schools have considered how they can plan, prepare and prevent, where possible, for the effects of climate change. Greener Henley also provides hands-on support and guidance. Schools have access to a local point of contact in Greener Henley. Individuals from Greener Henley can go into schools, help with assessments and reviews, providing support to develop and implement climate action plans. In addition, these points of contact can also help schools to start planning for climate resilience, which is fast becoming a safeguarding concern for schools. All of the schools I'm working with have been affected by localised flash flooding and overheating classrooms. We must plan for the future and not wait to see what is coming, as in most cases, it's already here and the effects can be seen and felt. Access to expert advice. Greener Henley can help schools and save them time by tapping into a community of experts from colleagues in the universities of Reading and Oxford, and also by reaching out to experts in national organisations. We've sought their advice when we were deciding how to support schools to identify risks associated with flash flooding. So what is it about being part of a collaborative network of local schools? Well, In the past and now going forward, we have and we will offer schools online webinars where we will discuss the challenges that we're all facing and hopefully find solutions. We'll also share and highlight successes and success stories that we hope will inspire others. The awards programme and its structure encourage a collaboration between local schools towards a shared aim, taking action to combat the effects of climate change. STEM ambassadors are also free.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Chris. So the next slide is talking about a timeline of our progress, which I think it's helpful to see when setting up this programme, what were the key milestones that we were hitting. So on the 16th of October in 2025, Greener Henley hosted an online webinar for local schools to hear about the Green Futures Awards. And this was a really great thing to do. It was kickstarting it in our community. It was welcoming schools on board and showing them how they could get involved. And from that, we did get a flurry of applications, and it was just a really successful way to kickstart action. Then on the 15th of January, we had our first schools committee meeting. So I'll take you through the committee in a later slide, but this was our first meeting. It was in person. It was about an hour and a half. It was the first time we'd all met. It was a great opportunity to become acquainted, and we really started to review the 12 schools that had already signed up and started to review their assessments, refine our documents, develop our minimum standards that I'll take you all through a bit later. But this was a really key moment within the programme. On the 26th of February, this was when we announced through social media, on emails, through local news outlets that the first Green Futures Awards had been presented to 12 local schools. So this was a great day. And then today we're hosting this webinar to showcase to groups across the UK how you guys can deliver the Green Futures Awards. And I think this timeline really highlights that when setting up this programme, there's quite a bit of time in between each milestone, and that's completely fine because it's essential in establishing the foundations so that we can get this programme up and running and everything's now refined, updated, the key documents are all in place, and from now on we can start to use those documents much more efficiently. So going on to the next slide. This is just taking you through our progress and numbers so far. So the logos on the screen are schools that have signed up. We had 12 schools in our initial cohort, ranging from primary, secondary, and college. And then moving forward from that, we now have 14 schools essentially signed up, 2 more expressing interest since we did that announcement. And this is meaning that we're directly reaching nearly 6,000 pupils and a presence in schools employing an estimated 350 plus teachers. So we're really, really proud of this and, continue to keep going. So now the initial cohorts award level has been announced, we're really looking forward to the future and how we want to progress. And so this is a growing network, and we're really keen to keep welcoming more primary schools, secondary schools, colleges, and even start to incorporate nurseries into the programme. So by the end of 2026, we would like to have 20 schools signed up, and by the end of 2027, we'd love to have 30 schools signed up. And it's just worth mentioning that although this is the Greener Henley Green Futures Awards, it does extend into a catchment beyond Henley to Caversham, Walgrave, Hambledon Valley. So there is quite a catchment of schools that we can approach and bring into the programme, which is really exciting. So the next slide is all about how did we resource this work. So this programme has been made possible to the generous support of Oxfordshire County Council and the Henley Educational Trust, and their funding's really enabled us to deliver these Green Futures Awards. And the funding from Oxfordshire County Council is supporting this webinar today. So just so you guys know where that funding's going towards, the vast majority of that funding is going towards my position as the schools coordinator, allowing us to carry out this really great work. And the other members of the committee are all amazing volunteers doing brilliant work. So on screen, we can see the people behind the programme. There's me, Georgia, I'm the schools coordinator. We have Kate, who's the executive director of Greener Henley. We have Diana Barnett, who's the community outreach lead at Greener Henley and also a former teacher. Chris Hurst, who's just spoken earlier. He's a climate ambassador and a former head teacher. And we have Amanda Hopkins, who's a former teacher as well. So it's really brilliant having experienced former school leaders and teachers on the committee. And our committee allows us to make decisions through environmental and educational insight. So the committee met in January, as I mentioned, they met in February online, and they met in March as well. I think at the beginning, when the programme is being set up, the committee is meeting more frequently because you're making key decisions about how the programme is going to continue to run in the future. We met once a month for about 3 months. However, I think once this first phase is over and our annual process is established and set up, it will become routine and the committee will be meeting up on a regular basis, but less frequently. So the next slide is all about onboarding schools and the initial assessment of award level. Now the slide might look a bit overwhelming, but what it's showing is 3 key essential documents. So it's got 2 external documents that go out to schools, and it's got 1 internal document that is just for the committee to use when assessing these award levels that come in. So when the 12 schools initially signed up and their answers to the registration form came in, we realised that as a committee we needed to develop some minimum standards to use when we were assessing each school's award level. So that's what this internal document is. It's defining that essential criteria that each school must meet to achieve each element of bronze, silver and gold. And it's really ensuring that this process of assessment is fair and consistent. So the Green Futures Awards registration is a Microsoft form. When schools want to sign up, they fill out this form and there are 12 questions to answer, and each question is correlating to an element of bronze, silver and gold, so it's mirroring that structure. Most of the questions have tick box answers, keeping it simple. Schools are extremely busy, they can go through it, see very clearly what they need to achieve and how they can fill out the form. And in each question, it sets out the essential criteria that they must fill, desirable criteria for some elements, and nice to have, the essential is post on social media once every half term, but it would be great if you could also put it on parent WhatsApp group chats, the equivalent of that. And then we say, here's some examples, and we ask, is any documentary evidence needed for this question? And we'll either say yes or no. So for some of them, posting on social media or attending Greener Henley events, we'll be monitoring that ad hoc. But if they say they've completed a climate action plan, then we're required to see that completed climate action plan. And it just ensures that fair process. So then we've got the Green Futures Awards programme guide. This document also goes to school and can be pulled up when they open the registration form. It's explaining the purpose of the programme to schools, the benefits of the programme, and again, it's where we're signposting resources, and it's where we're signposting initiatives schools can get involved in, correlating to each level of the programme, local, regional and national. It's signposting, helpful things and tools that they can use to complete their carbon footprint. And it's emphasising throughout that the Greener Henley Schools Committee are there every step of the way. And as I said, that is our minimum standards criteria that the committee has up when they're assessing each of the awards levels. We are very happy to provide these documents to you if you'd like to take this programme on in your own community. We'd love to supply them to you and, really help you set up the programme. And now's probably a good time to say that if you do decide to deliver the programme, very excited and we really would love you to. Just the only conditions are that we'd love it to be called the Green Futures Awards. We feel that really encapsulates, what the programme is about. And we also just ask that Greener Henley accredited in some way. But we would love for you to, of course, deliver this in your own community. So the next slide is about our annual award assessment process. Now, of course, we're at the beginning of this process, and this process will become refined and it will become routine, as I've said. But this is how it is at the minute. So what we've kind of set is, when schools either want to sign up to the programme for the first time or they want to re-register to the programme to progress up a level from bronze to silver or silver to gold, they can fill out this form at any point throughout the year. And the deadline to do this, the soft deadline to do this, is the 30th of June. Now, at this point in the year, it's when the committee is going to begin their annual review process, and they're going to start to look at the submissions that have come in from schools. And if there's evidence missing or documentary evidence that we do need to see, this is when we'll start going back to schools and asking for them to provide it to us. The 31st of July is a hard deadline. Lots of schools now will be going on summer holiday, and this is the deadline for, submitting that registration form to either sign up or progress to the next level. So over the summer term, the committee will start to assess the applications that we've got in. And in the autumn term will be when schools are informed of what level have they received, either as a starting award level or have they progressed to the next level. And we'd hope to coordinate this with another press release. But the key thing to note is that although it's assessed throughout the summer holidays, this program and the support we offer is constant. So we're hoping to distribute a newsletter at regular time periods, which will really showcase the schools in the program, their successes and case studies of what they're getting up to as inspiration for other schools within the program. It will also signpost them to events they can get involved in and helpful tools that they can use that we're finding out about throughout the year. And it's, the committee are always there for going into schools, tapping into our experts and asking questions. So the next slide is, what do schools receive when they achieve an award? So when we've decided a school's award level, we present it to the schools via email. And, it's a really exciting moment. It's a really positive email. And it was a great day emailing all the schools, informing them of their initial starting award level when we did it. So yeah, the email clearly states their award level. And then within this email, we provide them with a certificate, which we ask that they printed off, took a picture with. On this slide, that's on in common with their certificate. And we ask that they share it on their social media if they are using social media. And then we also present the schools in that email with a digital asset. Now, these are the 3 logos that you can see on the screen: bronze, silver, and gold. And these can be put on their website. It can be put wherever they want within their school to showcase that, they're part of this scheme. And this is something to be really proud of. We also provide a communication statement for schools. Now, schools are extremely busy places, and if we're asking them to, do a coordinated press release with us, we want to make sure that they have as much support to do that and do it as easily as possible. So we provide them with this communication statement, which goes through clarification of language to use in posts, potential key points to cover, and it's just about making it as easy as possible for them to really, have their own voice and showcase their success. So we're looking at making these digital badges and certificates available as Canva files, and we're hoping to be able to provide you with a template from which you can add your group's name and logo onto if you do wish to deliver the Green Futures Awards in your own community. So get in touch and watch this space for that. So the next slide is promoting the Green Futures Awards. How do we do that? So we do promote it in multiple ways. We're always trying to grow the network. We're trying to encourage other groups to take it on, and we want to showcase to the community as well what this program is achieving. So we use social media to do this: Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, to really tap into every aspect of the community. So we also created press releases that go in local news outlets. We have the Henley Standard that posted about when we announced our first cohort of awards. We have Henley Life, Oxford Mail, and the Henley Herald. And we also have the Greener Henley website, which has a dedicated schools page, and it has blog posts. So again, when we were posting about announcing our first cohort of schools, we put this as a Greener Henley blog post, which was really great. What's really key is that the awards is set up, the way it's set up is geared around schools having their own voice on social media and, tagging us when they post. And the Bronze Award asks schools to do this. So to achieve bronze, we ask that schools share and celebrate wins on their social media once every half term. And to achieve gold, we ask that they do this once a month. So we really want schools to, take ownership of celebrating it, because they should be so proud of all the action they're doing. And when they tag us, we can then reshare that on our pages too, which is really great. It's a great way for us to have regular interactions with schools involved, and amplify everybody's success. We also, when posting on social media, will, contact local institutions such as the Henley Town Council to share on their social media too. And it's a great way of, using different forums that people across the community are active in to spread what's going on. We are, of course, mindful that some schools won't have social media or a dedicated marketing team, and going forward, this is something that we're really wanting to emphasise to schools, that we're here for support, and we're here to help draft posts or provide more communication statements, and we want it to be really inclusive for everybody. And building on from this, we know that schools in general are extremely busy, and we don't want this programme to be a burden on top of schools. So it's all about supporting schools, and it's helping them to achieve things that they're mandated to do, but also go beyond that in a way that's embedded within the school and accessible for them to take on board. And that's what this programme is all about, and we're there to really support them to do that. So now we're going to hear from a teacher and a head teacher. Firstly, Rachel Sanders, the head teacher at Sacred Heart Catholic Primary School, is going to be speaking, and they achieved bronze as their starting award level. And then we're going to hand over to Sophie Snowden, who's a teacher and sustainability lead at Sonning Common Primary School, and they achieved gold as their starting award level. So I'll hand over to you guys now.
Thanks very much. So I'm going to talk on behalf of Sacred Heart School. First of all, just our view on the awards and what's good about them and the impact, and then very briefly about some of the actions that we took, which might give a few ideas. So what we like particularly, it's been mentioned a few times, is hyperlocal focus. We've been involved in awards before which are national, but what's really good about this one is it's very much not a one-size-fits-all approach. It empowers schools to respond directly to the environmental needs that are within our community, as in our town, but also very much our own small, minute part of Henley, and thinking about what we can do practically from a small person's point of view, I suppose. The great thing about it is that the students are very involved, gives them a sense of agency, and that they're seeing that even with steps that might feel a little bit small, their voices matter, their actions count, and they are making a difference, not just in the future, which we talk about a lot, but right here, right now. So for us as a school, the benefit of the Green Futures Award has been that it's a very clearly structured challenge. George has mentioned quite a few times, schools are really busy places, and they are, but it gives us a real clarity and a framework that we can work on to take action. As I said, it's relevant, so it's very much rooted in local needs and the realities of that. Obviously, children being children, and even as teachers, we love a bit of recognition, so that their efforts are celebrated and rewarded with a lovely certificate. It always goes down really well. Our students have been empowered, so they've had a lot of ownership, as have the teachers in our school, and the connection that it offers, not just with other local schools, but with other parts of the community. So we've been very lucky to get some support and help along our way as we've entered into the awards. I think there's another slide which shows some pictures of there we go. So how did we start our journey? So first of all, we looked at our curriculum, what we already offered, and therefore where the gaps were. So we looked at our science, our geography, art, RE, all of those sorts of things to see what we were already teaching and therefore what we needed to do next. But then we also looked at our wider curriculum, and this is where it really came to life and what most of these pictures come from. So sustainability was a big project for us. So we had Diana come in, and she ran our gardening club. We linked up with the Greener Henley initiative for the town to become bee friendly. So that meant we had a visit from a beekeeper, which is the image you can see in the middle of the screen there. And then we all replanted areas of our school so they were pollinators. And then off the back of that, we had a bug hotel and bee friendly zone. So the school was opened up, parents came in, family members, and the children had a lovely time building bug hotels and hiding them around the school. And then sustainability. So we tried to take every opportunity we could to see how we could introduce that. So the top right of the screen, you can see there's an annual competition in Henley for schools to decorate trees. We chose to make our decorations, for example, just out of sustainable materials. So we're very proud of that. Things like litter picks were really big for us. So we did them within the school for our really little children. And then you can see images around the screen there of the children out and about with their parents. We had an enormous group of parents who were very involved in litter picks. And the great thing again about the award is that hasn't just finished now that we've got our bronze award. You can see there's a picture there, sort of middle screen, where the kids spend their lunchtime sweeping up, picking up leaves. So it's really, as I said, it's really empowered them to want to do more. And yeah, that's sort of us in a nutshell, really. So I'll hand over now to our next one.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you to Greener Henley for inviting me to speak today. It's a real pleasure to share the journey that Sonning Common Primary School has been on. My name is Sophie Snowden, and I'm a teacher at the school, and I'm also a sustainability lead. The journey that Sonning Common has been on recently has led us to achieving the Green Futures Gold Award. It's something we're incredibly proud of, not just because it's an award, but it reflects a genuine culture shift in how our school community thinks about climate and nature. At Sonning Common, we've always believed that children shouldn't just learn about the world, they should feel empowered to shape it. Over the past few years, that belief has guided us as we've embedded climate action, sustainability, and nature connection into everyday school life. We started with simple but meaningful steps, creating wildlife-friendly spaces, having no-mow zones in our school grounds, reducing waste and educating teachers and children about recycling, and giving pupils real voice through Eco Council. These actions weren't just projects, they became habits. Children began noticing changes in seasons, asking questions about energy use, and coming up with their own ideas for how to protect the planet. One of the most powerful parts of our journey has been the role of Forest School. It's a core part of how children learn to understand and care for the natural world. At Sonning Common, Forest School isn't an occasional treat. It's a regular session the children get to attend. Through these regular outdoor sessions, pupils learn to identify species, understand ecosystems, and develop a deep sense and respect for nature. They build habits, observe seasonal change, and experience firsthand how small actions can support biodiversity. Forest School has been a catalyst for so much of our environmental work. It has helped children form real emotional connection with nature, and that connection is what drives their passion for climate action. It's no exaggeration to say that many of our bronze, silver, and gold initiatives grew directly out of ideas that sparked in the woods. The Bronze Green Futures Award encouraged us to get the basics right, establishing an Eco Council, setting clear school priorities for nature and climate education, and sharing what we do on our school website and with other professionals. Silver pushed us to turn those ideas into real measurable change. We have an embedded Eco Council where pupils discuss and participate in climate action regularly. We have several wildlife-friendly spaces around school. We have worked with Let's Go Zero to integrate and embed sustainability into our lessons, estimate our carbon footprint, and plan for climate resilience by risk assessing climate change within our setting. To achieve gold, we've embedded climate and nature action throughout our school. We have a climate action plan in place, which is regularly reviewed. We have pupil engagement beyond Eco Council with sustainability embedded in our lessons, where we also promote green careers. We have a strong partnership with our local eco group and have worked with them on projects within our community too. Gold isn't about excellence, it's about permanence. It means sustainability isn't dependent on one teacher, one project, or one year group. It's part of who we are as a school. Awards like Green Futures matter because they give schools a framework, a sense of direction, and a way to celebrate progress. But more importantly, they show children that their actions can have value. They help young people feel hopeful at a time when climate news can often feel overwhelming. At Sonning Common, we've seen pupils grow in confidence, curiosity, and compassion. They understand that caring for the planet isn't an optional extra. It's a responsibility that we all share, and they are proud to be part of the solution. On behalf of our staff, pupils, and wider community, we would like to thank Greener Henley for recognising the work schools are doing and for giving us a platform to share our stories. The Green Futures Award has helped build momentum, deepen our commitment, and inspire the next generation of environmental leaders. We are proud of what we achieved and even more excited about what comes next.
Thank you so much to both of you. That was really lovely and empowering, inspiring, and everything to hear about all the action that you guys are taking. Thank you for speaking today. So if you guys on this call are interested in delivering the Green Futures Awards in your own community, please do get in touch using the email on the screen. We'd really, love to hear your thoughts, questions. If you need advice from us on how to take it on or would like to have some of our resources, please get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. So that's it from the presentation side of things. Thank you very much for listening. If anyone has any questions, you can unmute, ask in the chat, and we're happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thanks so much, Georgia. I'm actually going to stop the share now, and just for a 5-minute Q&A at the end. But I just first of all wanted to thank all of the presenters very much for what I think were some really excellent presentations. So thank you so much, and in particular to Georgia for all of her hard work on this. I must confess that I wasn't really able to monitor the chat because I was recording it, and every time I brought up the chat box, it covered over the image on the page. So I will try to look at the chat box now as we're doing the Q&A. But yeah, we've got 5 minutes for Q&A. So if I could just ask you to keep your question quite concise, please, and then hopefully we can cover maybe 3 questions. Has anybody got any questions? Jane, you're on mute.
Hi, yeah, thank you very much. That was all really interesting. I've worked a bit with schools before, and I always find that the primary schools are a lot easier to work with and get, get them to do things. But when you come to the high schools, it's a bit more difficult. Have you had any experience with trying to get them involved more? And I took what the last speaker said about the fact that the award is embedded in the school and not just a teacher. And I've always found that sometimes that if a particular teacher leaves, then it's really hard to carry on with the work that they've done if you then don't get somebody who is as enthusiastic.
Thank you, Jane. I'm just going to say that we do have, so our local state secondary school, Gillett School, has done some really fantastic work, and we actually awarded them the Silver Award. Yes, and we have got another secondary school which is now interested in signing up. So we are getting engagement from secondary schools. Chris, do you have anything to say about the point of contact and if somebody leaves? I know we've talked about that before.
Find your person. Find the person whose rhythm beats to the same of your rhythm. You will find them. They're in every school. I'm currently doing a little bit of work with Dr. Channellers in Amersham because I think I may have found the person. Sometimes it takes a little while, but once you find that person, don't let them go. And then the other thing is, when I'm going in to help schools with climate action plans, I'm very much saying to them, this is a team effort, and I use the head as effectively a conduit to get into the school. And then I encourage them to get as many other people involved as possible. So the business manager, the caretaker, the science lead, the sustainability lead. So as if one person leaves, the stack of cards doesn't fall. And I think that is a very important thing.
Thank you so much. We've got 2 more minutes. Just to quickly say to John Ranford, John, do get in touch if you're interested in using the Greener Henley award structure. Please do get in touch on the email address that Georgia sent. Georgia, could you just put the email address in the chat, please, so people have got that? Do we have? We could probably time for 2 very quick questions, or one not quite so quick question. Does anybody else have another question? Les.
There's an interesting question in the chat asking for specific examples, and my question is sort of related, is about kind of links to the wider community and how you join up school communities with local climate resilience efforts.
Okay, I'm just going to step in there. So we are having a community resilience briefing on the 8th of June where we're showing a screening of the National Emergency Briefing film, and then we're doing an action focus workshop. We will be inviting leaders from across the community, including head teachers from all the local schools, to that event. And one of the key kind of suggestion for action there will be for organisations to build their resilience plans. Now, resilience planning is incorporated, it's embedded into the structure of the awards, as Georgia explained, in the silver and gold categories anyway. But we have another initiative called Pledges for the Planet, which I just briefly mentioned at the beginning. And one of our categories in Pledges for the Planet is resilience. So we have a number of resilience pledges: be flood ready, beat the heat, get connected, grow your own food. And we will be inviting schools to take a pledge and then share that pledge with their whole school community. So yes, we're very much doing that work to kind of link this to the wider systemic issues and important issues around resilience. I think we have perhaps one very quick question to finish with. Eleanor.
Thanks, Kate. I just wanted to add, I've just popped in the chat. I'm delighted to hear that you're pushing forward with the People's Emergency Briefing screening. I just wanted to let all of the educators here know that there is also a very specific National Emergency Briefing for school teachers, which has been edited with teachers in mind for you to run with your staff, and has been placed within sort of a package of an hour's CPD. So the guidance document and the video are attached here. I've used it with pre-service and in-service teachers just this week. It was launched on the 14th of March at the Climate and Nature Festival for a Just Transition. Thank you everyone for all the work that you are doing and for being here to try and make these things move forwards. I know that it's often a lone person, but we need to keep going, and I absolutely take that advice on board, Chris Hurst, to find your people. I think we're here. Thanks for bringing us together, Kate. Thanks for bringing us together.
Thanks so much, Eleanor, and thanks so much for everything you're doing on the NEB for school teachers. That's really valuable, and we will be looking at that within our schools network. So thank you. I think that's it, everybody. I think we've reached time. So thank you to all of you for coming. Thank you to all the presenters and the people who asked questions. And we're here. If you've got any questions, please do get in touch. Thanks very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.